And Liam here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short. And it is getting goosebumps as we're up to the 13th and 14th episodes of season 3. Yes, it is another two-parter, another double of the Goosebumps TV series, the 57th and 58th episodes overall. It is Werewolf Skin, which was the 60th book in the original Goosebumps series, published in 1997. That far into the original series, I'd never read it. I didn't know it existed.
Yeah, it's weird that they put a two-parter right after a two-parter. And I don't know how you felt when you saw it was called Werewolf Skin, and the idea of another werewolf episode focused on werewolves, and how that didn't really get me too excited. Yeah,
it did not either, because I'm not a big fan of werewolf and horror in general. And while the Werewolf Fever Swamp was okay, a two-parter did not interest me at all.
Then again, it does have some interesting moments that we're going to go through. So
indeed, it is a weird one. It has got elements that are strange and amusing at the same time. This one was directed by Ron Oliver, who wrote it with Dan Angel and Billy Brown. So we had 3 writers for this, with Ron Oliver jumping in to help Angel and Brown. I'll get some interesting facts as to what there was a lot of. This was a mess, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, before that, 4 members of the cast I want to highlight. We've got Keegan McIntosh as Alex Blackwell, Nikki Guadagnini as Marta Blackwell, Ron Lee as Colin Blackwell, and Tara Vanessa as Hannah Stoneman. That is the 4 major members of this cast. So there's a lot of stuff hidden throughout this pair of episodes, and some facts. So I'm going to throw some at them. The photography magazine Alexander reads at the beginning of the episode includes lots of pictures, references to previous Goosebumps episodes, including masks from the Haunted Mask, along with a creep face as well from Calling All Creeps. Maria Vakaratisius, who I didn't put in the cast, but she plays another character in another episode later on, season 4's Deep Trouble.
Oh, cool.
Yep. The werewolf costumes Sean and Arjun wear to scare Alex as he buries the wolf skins are the same ones that Tabitha and Lee wore in Attack of the Jack-O-Lanterns to scare Drew, Walker, Shane, and Shauna.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see that now.
Yeah. Big Edna tells Alex a story about a headless ghost. This is a potential reference to the headless ghost. So, Dan Angel and Billy Brown wrote the initial script for the episode, but the network rejected it.
Oh.
And in a fascinating fact for going forward, this led to them leaving the show completely.
Ooh.
So they're gone. Yep.
That's really interesting.
So Ron Oliver was brought in to rewrite it. However, Billy and Dan do remain credited writers regardless. But yes, so there was a massive dispute over this one.
So out there somewhere is a script of the original Werewolf Skin, and who knows? Maybe it was darker. Who knows?
Well, Ron Oliver. Well, I'm about to tell you what was wrong.
No, okay, go on then.
So Ron Oliver has spoken about this in a book called Goosebumps TV Companion. I did not know this existed, and I am going to hunt this down because I want to read this, because apparently it includes interviews and conversations and all that with cast and people who worked on it, and I feel like there's a ton of facts and interesting stuff there.
That'd be cool, man. I'd love to see like a whole behind the scenes of how they put through some of these things together. Yeah.
So the script was rejected because it was seen as unfilmable, because it had more locations, a ton of stunts, and a load of dark elements, which included one scene of a werewolf biting a deer.
Ooh. So they went too far with the budget.
Yes, but not only that, Ron's first cut of the episode was also controversial and then trimmed down by the network, admitting a lot of darker scenes that apparently existed too.
That is the problem, though, when you do a kids show about werewolves. It's like it's such a hard concept to do with that kind of age rating, because you can't really push it too far in terms of the horror, even though it's a werewolf, it's about werewolves. You have to do horror, don't you? It has to be light. You can't really do a kids thing about that. But then again, they do a pretty good job in this episode, so maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, but I'm fascinated. Forget the Snyder cut, man. I want the Ron Oliver, Dan Angel, and Billy Brown cut of this put out there.
Yeah, get that trending, man. Yeah.
Okay, right. We begin overlooking a gas station. I was like, oh, well, that's different.
Yeah. Mhm.
It seems deserted and has a closed sign up. And we see a bus stopping outside. We see a bus stop which begins to shake as a bus pulls up. Off that bus gets a young boy, and he's super sarcastic to the driver, apparently waiting for his aunt and uncle to pick him up. Rightfully, having been a little sarcastic prick about it, the driver decides to tease him by telling him a story about the headless ghost. She then laughs at him and leaves. And I was a bit like, nice, that's it, he deserved that.
She got him, man.
Yeah. We then get a POV of a creature running through some grass really low to the ground, you know? So it's like, oh, is it something monstrous? The boy, who we will later find out is called Alex, is sitting on a bench at a gas station reading a camera magazine that is running a competition called Shudder Shot. Take a scary picture, basically, and win $1,000. So, yeah, it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
He stops reading, looks around, and starts to take some pictures with the camera, and we see that the place is called Wolf Creek. Really imaginative. We then hear a howl, and Alex notices it's a full moon as we get the animal POV again. And then we just cut to morning. Like, oh, okay, that was weird.
Mm.
The sun is coming up, and the lad is still there, having fallen asleep. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, I guess they fall under the parental figures, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, another poor kid being shipped off by his neglectful guardians and to be with relatives, and yeah, it's another one of those, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm gonna say a thought until we get to it in a moment, but basically, we then get the POV of somebody approaching from a distance as Alex begins to stir. He then rushes up to him, startling him awake, and it's a bunny rabbit. Look, this makes no fucking sense. The reason why it makes no sense, I'm fine with it being a bunny rabbit, because ha ha ha, but it makes no sense because we started the POV the night when it was night. So what, the bunny just waited like, whatever, 4 or 5 hours for it to be morning and then continued?
It's very slow bunny. That's what it is.
Alex is then grabbed on the shoulder by a man. It turns out to be his uncle, Uncle Colin. It's the old shoulder grab scare, tale as old as time. They embrace, and Colin apologizes for being late. And I was like, late?
Yeah, I know.
Late?
I was the same. I was like, I like how he's sorry they had to sleep outside all night on a bench in the cold and dark outside this weird, creepy gas station. But I'm here now, so all's forgiven. You know?
I was outrageous. Forget the parents shipping him off to these poor, like these bad uncle and aunt, but that is some terrible, terrible guardianship.
Just like, would they actually be shocked if all these parents of any of their kids end up getting kidnapped and murdered? No, they'd actually be surprised, like, my God, how did that happen?
We will find out that as they walk back to Colin's car and they talk about pictures, we find out Alex's parents are on a trip to London. You said this many episodes ago, and then I was reminded of it here. I want a cut together episode of Goosebumps that's like 2 minutes of every set of parents that disappeared. Just what are they doing while all this is going on? I just want to know what they're all fucking doing.
Yeah, like, are they off on their own crazy Goosebumps adventure?
Yeah.
Maybe there's another series there you could do, man. Well, the parenting, and that's why it would explain why they're so terrible, because they're going through some mad shit elsewhere, and they're like, they can't get back to their kids, man. That's what it is.
Yeah. Even better guardianship here is Colin then drives fast and dangerous through some back trails, but it seems to be entertaining to Alex. He actually seems to be enjoying himself in the crazy drive. Yeah. They arrive at a house, and Aunt Martha comes out to greet them. And again, they talk about the camera and Alex's possible shutter picture. However, they claim the area they live in is boring, and it does just look like a nice cul-de-sac in America. Except there's a dilapidated house down the street, and Colin tells them to stay away as the residents are a bit crazy. And Martha agrees that he should leave them alone. I'm like, well, there it is. There's the stuff.
And at this moment, I was just like, oh man, not the whole we have a secret that we kind of discovered, and then there's some kind of monster in the woods. But let me agree to take care of my nephew for the summer. who also has a hobby in photography, and then encourage him to go out all day by himself and explore, and then freak out when he sees something. That's another Goosebumps trope, basically.
Scary about Wolf Creek.
What about that place?
That's the Marlene's house. You want to stay away from that couple. They're crazy.
Honey, don't say crazy. They're just eccentric.
They're nuts.
It's probably a good idea just to leave them alone.
It fucking is. It was actually really disappointing to see that dilapidated house. I never thought I'd feel that way because it looks great, but it was like,
Yeah,
oh.
it does.
Alex watches the house though and thinks he can get a really creepy shot inside it. Dude, take a shot from outside, and submit that. It's a creepy looking house. Inside, we see Alex admiring some pictures, and it seems as though Colin is a famous wildlife photographer. I was like, okay, that's a layer that might be important. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
A noise outside gets his attention. He looks out the window to see the creepy house. And then we cut to later. Alex is wandering around, taking some pictures of basic things out in the street, including invading people's privacy by taking pictures of them without them even knowing, all while some obnoxious butt rock plays out. What the fuck is this scene about? Who decided, yeah, this needs rock music?
Gotta spice it up a bit.
He eventually turns his attention to the creepy house and starts to take some pictures of that. But through his lens, he spies a broken window that could be an entry point. But we then see him being watched by a figure from inside the house. And this, again, going back to Goosebumps, what we know, I was like, you know what? No, it's not going to be the person in the house is creepy. They're going to be the person that's normal and everything else is creepy. That nonsense.
Yeah.
So Alex continues into the woods, attempting to get a creepy shot, but is startled by a girl. This is Hannah, and they get talking as she gives him a tour of the woods, and they talk about his time in this city. She says that she's never been out of Wolf Creek and that she's a bit of a loner. But she notices the sun is going down and insists that they should leave as the woods aren't safe at night. Alex makes a joke about monsters, and she is not amused. Yeah.
The sun's going down. We better get home. Hannah, wait up. What's the rush? The woods aren't really safe after dark. Why? Is that when the monsters come out or something? That's not funny, Alex. Gee.
She walks off, but he wants a picture, oh my God, of a moon so big that if that existed in real life, it would have fucked up the earth. that is insanely big. It doesn't even look real. When he turns back, Hannah's gone. He makes his way through the woods, talking to himself about nature, but finds himself lost. Now, I will say, Alex, the guy that plays Alex, is a good actor. And this is stuff where I noticed it. How he kind of tries to talk himself into being brave almost, but not in an obvious oh, he's just a chicken shit. It's more the fact, look, am I lost in the woods where I don't really know where I'm going and it's getting dark? That is an issue.
Yeah, one thing I did actually really like is after he speaks to the girl and she acts all really strange, he actually says these people are weird.
Yeah.
And I just thought thank you. Somebody in Goosebumps has finally noticed how fucking weird everybody is, and he's pointed it out. I've been waiting for that moment.
Amazing. It's taken us a long time to get to something pointed out, but there you go. Some noises in the tree scare him, though. We see something is watching him, which then rushes up to him and he screams. But we don't actually see what it is, as he declares it's no rabbit and then takes off running. And I was like, the fuck just happened there? That was really odd. What a weird reaction. But by us not seeing it, we've got nothing to go on. Is it properly scary? Because if it's properly scary, then the reaction doesn't make any sense. If it's not, let's see. If it's a fox, an animal, what?
This is where the budget got cut down. The original probably had it being some massive animatronic crazy beast, and they were not making that.
If this was the deer part, and that it was a deer that ran up, scared him off, and then we would have had the werewolf attack the deer after he ran off.
After he ran off, yeah, maybe I'll be right.
But then after that weird reaction, we then see him racing through the woods, screaming for help. And I'm like, how do you go from "that's no rabbit" to screaming for your life? What is it, kid?
Because he's the Goosebumps scaredy cat kid who tries to act like he's brave and not afraid, but deep down, he's like a mouse. That whole trope.
He ends up arriving at the back door of the dilapidated house, and it's locked as he desperately calls for help. Then we get, for some reason, the exact same scare we've already had. the hand grabs him on the shoulder, and it's Martha. And it's like, no. You get one of them per episode, not one.
That's just lazy if you do more
It
than
is.
one.
She breaks him for being in the woods at night. And I was kind of like, how quickly did night actually come? And we'll get to that later on about how fast night falls in this place. And she tells him off for being in the house, and she then leads him back home. She's off to meet Colin and is now acting like a bit of a dick to Alex. She constantly tells him they're working on a special project and refuses to answer his questions, telling him to go inside and not leave before driving off and leaving Alex confused. I shared Alex's confusion. She treats them like crap here, but also, man, you can't say shit like, we're working on a special project, don't ask questions, to anyone, let alone a kid.
It's true.
The next day in school, Alex's class is talking about legends. One of those instant coincidences.
Mm.
To be fair, big budget horror movies have done this. Scream decided to have a whole classroom talk about horror movies and sequels inside its own movie. Urban Legend did a class on urban legend. Do you know what I mean? Like I actually don't blame Goosebumps here for doing this.
Yeah, it makes sense in context of the episode. Like, I mean, like you said, it's very it's like nice coincidence there, but you know, it works for the plot, I suppose.
But this is where we do go off the rails, because you're thinking it's werewolves, and werewolves are very traditional. They do one thing. Well, apparently R.L. Starr, when he wrote this book, went, I'm 60 books deep here. Probably got to do something really different here. So we're going to get a different take of werewolves that, well, we'll get to if you like or not. So yeah, they're talking about legends, and Alex gives an answer, but two kids mock him. And they suggest some legends are true, such as werewolves. And Alex rightfully gives it back. They mock him for believing in legends, but then say legend of the werewolves are true. So Alex mocks them. But then apparently the entire class seem to believe that werewolves are true as well. What the fuck is with this lot?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, let's be honest here. Of all the legends that exist in the world, which are the ones that you are, like, you found like you could at least maybe believe in, or maybe are so far-fetched that you wouldn't? Now, for example, me, vampires and werewolves are two of the most far-fetched legends that no. But something like banshees and ghosts, I can kind of lean more towards if you want me to, you know, choose.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, werewolves are probably the one where it's like a human turning into a werewolf just sounds like completely, yeah, that sounds like obviously bollocks. So.
Yeah. Well, it's the rules as well. It's the rules and stuff like that start getting set around, and it makes it extra confusing. But the main kid, Sean, goes on to explain that some werewolf legends are real, but others are different. Such as what happens, are you ready for this, folks? What happens when the sun rises? Well, according to this legend, werewolves shed their skin, and if someone finds that skin, then destroys it, the werewolf inside the person dies, and the curse is broken. The fuck? Now, I was like, okay, it's called Werewolf Skin, so I guess this is where we're going with it. But what the fuck is that?
I don't know. It's at least like an original idea. I've never really heard that before, and there's some intrigue to that, and it's quite an interesting concept, I think, because like, so it's almost like they've meshed together the idea of like a vampire that has to go into their coffin to sleep because the sun's rising, and then that's the prime moment to like attack them when they're like at their weakest kind of thing. And also, you always wonder when the human turns back from the werewolf, what does happen to the werewolf like flesh and stuff like that? Is that left over behind, and what would happen if you did destroy that? So yeah, there's something interesting there, but it's obviously quite an out there idea, you know.
Yes, you know. So at the time when I write my notes and writing for the episode, I was critical of it here because I had one major flaw, which is simply this: if you are a victim of a werewolf curse, why would you not immediately destroy the skin when you take it off to break said curse? So that's why I was hypercritical of that. However, I think the episode at the end of it, the episodes, it will actually go a long way to explaining that and shutting me up as to why perhaps that isn't the case. We'll get to it when we get to it. And it was an element that I actually really admired.
Yep.
Alex continues to mock the kids, though, even though the teacher seems to be disturbed by what he's hearing. Obviously, Alex, having mocked his kids, has got the eye of them as they're defending their beliefs. And they suggest they can prove it to him and tell him to meet him out in the woods tonight at midnight unless he's chicken. And Alex, because he's an idiot, agrees to meet them provided he can bring his camera. And I'm just like, you are unbelievably stupid. Here's the thing. The reason why he's stupid is this. He either doesn't believe in werewolves, which means the bullies, these guys, are just going to play a prank on him. Or he does. That's the problem. It's either or. You're either going out there to be pranked and probably hurt maybe or beaten up or whatever, or you do believe in it because you think you're going to get a picture of it, and then you're going to put yourself in danger? Makes no sense.
Or nobody calls him chicken. That's it. That's the reason why.
Yes, it's that. It's fucking the Marty McFly yellow.
That's it.
Hannah overhears all of this, though, and looks perturbed. We see Alex is walking home, crossing a large footbridge over the creek when he hears noises. He ends up bumping into Hannah, and she tells him not to go. It's one of those turn around and, oh, you're suddenly there, even though she must have made noise and come from quite a distance because it's an open footbridge, gone quite far, but apparently she appeared from nowhere. All right. Alex says he doesn't want to be seen as a chicken. So it is that. Literally is that. And makes some jokes. He insists to her that he's going and once again dismisses the werewolf legend. She walks off and Alex declares again that these people are really weird. Why this is such a bad read. I do not get why. Go again, Alex. Do that again. It sounded terrible. But no, they just left in the first take. That night, Alex grabs his camera and finds he's been locked in his room. He then goes to go out the window, but that's got bars on it. He then notices something odd from the creepy house and sees something big and hairy climbing out the window. Okay, props to this. I had to pause and rewatch this scene several times to get it. And I thought it was brilliant because the idea is don't show me. Make it like a quick flash of a thing. And it was only when I paused it that I kind of got a better image of it. And I was like, oh, if I have to do that, then you've nailed it. You've nailed it where he's seen something. I think I've seen something, but it went by so fast, I can't see it. Brilliant.
Definitely.
He runs back to his door and tries to open it, but calming down, he goes back to the window and sees nothing wrong in the house, so thinks he imagined. And then, boom, you get an exceptionally done jump scare as a werewolf is at the window trying to get him through the bars. I thought it was a good jump scare. They built up nicely, and it builds on to what we just saw, where we got a flash of something. Now we see it fully. It's a costume, and it looks good. Werewolf costumes are iffy all over the place, from big budget movies to low budget movies. I thought this one looked good.
Yeah, I thought it was unexpected that was going to be the reveal at that moment, because you'd think they do it in a different way, so it kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and
it really does.
Up to this point, the episode was only just it was kind of okay-ish. But the whole tension in that scene was really nice, I thought, and the soundtrack as well. It helped add to the tension, and then the reveal of the werewolf actually pretty well done. So, and you said it looks good, so can't really complain.
I felt like they were treading water up to this point.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and then that moment kind of elevates it a bit.
And obviously those bars that we're keeping Alex in are keeping the werewolf from getting access to him. And Alex ends up using a flash of his camera to scare it off, which again, I don't mind. That's been utilized in the past as well.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
When he now goes to look, it has disappeared. Now we cut to the next day, which you might be like, wait, what? But to be fair, this works. He's woken up on the floor by his aunt and uncle, so immediately suggests that, okay, he was like, I'm not going back to bed. He got too tired. He fell asleep on the floor. And of course, when he tells them what happened, they don't believe him. But we do build on that again in a clever way, because he's like, well, I can prove it. And you see that the bars are damaged. And I was like, okay, that's unexpected. I expected it all to be perfect and fine, and he just looked like an idiot, you know?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's nice that they did that.
The problem is they kind of give the game away here, because they're like, oh, well, maybe it was a rabid fox. And I was like, nope, nope. Now they're involved. Now I know they're involved in some way.
Rabid fox. Yep. Come on now.
Yep. If it wasn't Goosebumps, I'd be like, you're referencing Return of the Living Dead here. This is the attempt to pretend it's rabid weasels in the bag, and that no one believes it.
Yeah, that's true.
Alex continues to argue otherwise and suggests that Hannah was right. But upon hearing Hannah's name, the pair tell him that Hannah's brother was bitten by a wolf, and Hannah hasn't gotten over it effectively. I was like, what the fuck is this? All right, that threw me off so much, Because I expected them to go like, oh, stay away from her, she's a weird girl. And then you're like, okay, well, Hannah's probably the werewolf. And their project is probably to try and catch her or something. But that story, I was like, huh? How does that work? I was lost. I was lost. Goosebumps confused me.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, Alex is unconvinced and continues to be sarcastic. He is very sarcastic. Afterwards, he is talking to Hannah, and she reveals that she knows werewolves exist as she's seen them, and that's who bit her brother, who then apparently just disappeared, having run away. And I'm like, okay, well, that kind of makes a little bit more sense. But you know what it is? We're like 3/4 of the way for this episode, and now we've got this element. I'm like, whoa, what are we doing? You've thrown this in to upend the entire story, and I don't get where we're going.
I think it's like trying to provide different possibilities of who it could be. I think that's what it's trying to do. It's trying to make you second guess yourself, which I think actually does really well, because it does provide quite a few options of who is involved. It could be everybody, it could be one person, it could be her, it could be her brother, it could be the parents, could be the school teacher. There's quite a few different options. I think it does actually that pretty well.
Fair point, fair point. And the only issue as well I've got as we go here is like Alex suspects that his aunt and uncle's secret project is related to the werewolf. But he now has stars in his eyes about the idea of getting a picture. And there I have a problem. But are you serious? That werewolf was trying to kill you last night. And now you're just like the next day, oh, I just can't wait to get a picture of it and submit it to the magazine. No.
It doesn't really work with like the way they've written his character as well as being quite deep down, quite a scaredy cat. Because like you literally saw it at the window. It was like trying to get into kill him basically.
Yeah.
And he fell asleep on the floor from exhaustion. That terrified, and now he thinks he can get close enough to get a photograph of it.
It doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work. The better route would be to go. The fact he was like, oh, right, the werewolf knows my face, knows what I look like, came to my house. The next time it's the full moon, I'm going to have to prepare, like stuff like that, as if you were preparing for a vampire, Lost Boys style.
That's true.
They're then confronted by the two boys who are annoyed about being stood up. And Alex tells them about his werewolf encounter and then dares them to meet him tonight at the old house and calls them chicken. So apparently that is just a buzzword to get everybody to do what you want. Later, his aunt and uncle leave as per usual, and Alex then makes a call to the National Exposer and asks about how much they'd pay for a real picture of a werewolf. I presume they just hung up on him, but,
Yeah.
He then breaks out of his room and heads out.
Thank you for calling National Exposer. How may I help you?
Hi, my name is Alex Blackwell. I was just wondering, how much would you pay for a picture of a real werewolf?
Out in the woods near the creepy house, he sets his camera up and waits. But sometime later, he's really tired and seemingly haven't got nowhere. But apparently his wait is over as a noise gets him to ready his camera. And we then see the werewolf is behind him. Alex screams as the werewolf lunges. Ooh, he's dead. He's then woken up by his teacher. He then says he came out here to stop Alex as he also believes in werewolves and reveals scary teeth. And it's another dream, a dream within a dream, which, if you know me, is one of my most hated horror tropes ever. It's the laziest, awful shit. And I will never forget the most responsible movie of all of them, the Wicker Man remake. Fuck dreams within a dream.
Dream within a dream. Yep.
What are you doing out here?
Hannah told me what happened. She said you were coming back out here again tonight. I couldn't let you face the werewolves alone.
You believe in the werewolves?
Of course I do, Alex. I have to.
Why?
However, I will praise the effects. The werewolf behind Alex looks good, and I do like the look of the teeth in the teacher. I thought, because as well, what I was like, why is the teacher there? How would he know Alex was there? So I will give him at least it was just a dream.
Also, it does lead to quite a funny line as well.
Which was
he says no more chocolate bars before bed because he's eating a chocolate bar. Yeah,
you're right. I forgot that. Yeah. Anyway, Alex wakes up properly, and it's morning. No picture gained. As he walks back through the woods, though, he comes across his aunt and uncle's Jeep, completely wrecked, and finds a huge tuft of fur. I'm like, okay, this is an interesting, layer. But we're about to just randomly reveal everything and comes so out of nowhere. I was shocked. As he races back home and into his room, and from his window, he hears growls and then looks to the old house and is able, using his camera, to capture pictures of his aunt and uncle shedding their werewolf skin. And it comes out of nowhere. I was like, oh, okay. That's the thing.
Been waiting for answers. Here are your answers.
Yeah,
basically.
It was very, very odd. We then see the pair head back to the house as Alex attempts to fix the door he broke. And he's able to do so and get back into bed before they can catch him. And they obviously come in, see him sleeping, and then leave thinking he's been asleep. Sometime after, he goes downstairs and then does a horrendous job of pretending he doesn't know anything. He acts so tense and weird about it that I'm like, oh, dude, man, you could have at least tried. And it's not an acting issue. It's like the character more than anything else.
Yeah.
But then they do say puns, which doesn't help things. As he's like, oh, why aren't you having breakfast and all that? And they're like, oh, we had a bite last night. I'm like, you know. And Alex sees a headline on a newspaper about missing hunters. We get a little cool joke as we get you notice the syrup is called 3 Little Pigs.
Yeah.
Alex then rushes off to go to school. After we see him leading Hannah to where he found the wrecked Jeep, but it's now gone. And Hannah wonders about his safety. But Alex suspects the reason to lock him in is to keep him safe. And he wants to help. And again, I was like, what is this episode doing? That is completely thrown me again. Because it makes sense. I'm like, okay, we're now going to go in a different direction. That maybe they're not bad guys. But I'm like, why aren't they destroying their own skin if that's the case?
Yes.
Later, Alex talks to the teacher who downplays the werewolf thing. But Alex wonders if there's some truth, which confuses the teacher. And it's notable that he now has a bandage on his face.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I think it provides some well-executed misdirection type stuff, you know. Like the bandage, you're supposed to now think, oh, maybe he is also one or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, the only problem I have with it is it means nothing. It's nothing. It's irrelevant. And that's the one thing I don't like, is it means it's just there to misdirect us and it's not related to the story in any way, shape, or form.
No, that's a good point.
Alex leaves and we see him and Hannah going into the whole house. They're being watched by Sean and his goon friend. Inside, Alex is looking for the werewolf skin, but it is gone. And they wonder where it could be hidden, but then immediately find it inside a wardrobe. So, okay, well, that was hidden.
I mean, surely if you're a werewolf and that's the thing you need to protect the most because it gets destroyed, you're done. Might want to put it somewhere better than that.
I might keep it in my room where I sleep in a locked safe.
Yeah, with many, many padlocks on it.
Yes.
For a safe. Yeah.
They then bag it up as we see Colin and Martha leaving the house. And that's because the very super night fast is now approaching. And Hannah notices the sun going down at a speed I couldn't even believe. I thought, good God, episode, you're not even being funny now. That's absurd. We then see Colin and Martha come into the house and they're able to climb back out the way they came in with a bag skin. And inside we see Martha and Colin freaking out because their skins are missing. And that's where I started to get thrown off. And I thought, oh, okay. They seem to want their skins. And I was like, okay, maybe it's because they like being werewolves. No, we're not quite there yet. And I'm going to give them a lot of credit for what they do. Night is now falling and in the woods, Alex is digging a hole while Hannah keeps watch. She tells him that it will never be over and walks off. We're like, huh? And again, like, I'm suspicious of Hannah for obvious reasons. So Alex's plan is to bury the skin. And I was like, is that destroying them? That feels like a cheat. Burying them is not destroying them. I'm like, set fire to them maybe? Stab them with his shovel? Like, define destroy.
Yeah, I mean, burying them, that just sounds more like you're giving them protection rather than destruction.
Yeah, I didn't really like that part of it. Something moves in the bushes as Alex continues to dig. However, cracking bushes then get his attention And he goes to confront what is over there with his shovel. So props for bringing a weapon. Did enjoy that. But he's made to jump by Sean and company dressed up in fake werewolf costumes. So this is their getting him back thing for making him waiting all night. They then reveal that they never actually believed the werewolves. But immediately that changes, though, when the Skin reaches out and grabs them by the ankles. And it was like, okay, I didn't expect that as an interesting touch to have the Skin sort of come to life.
Also, even though it's like a small detail, I thought it was quite amusing that one of the characters in it, one of the bully characters, his only lines in the show in this entire episode are to repeat stuff that the other bully says to Alex. He just repeats them in like a funny like voice, and I thought that was quite amusing.
You are right. That is how they work. You're absolutely right. Yeah, didn't give them the bully characters enough props in this, but they are a good little fun part of the story.
Yeah.
Anyway, they run off screaming, and Alex, so sometimes I really like Alex. He just starts trying to batter the Skin with a shovel. I'm like, that's it. That's what I want to see. That's not running away, just like, oh, I'm going to fuck these things up. Brilliant.
Oh, no, you don't. Stay down.
Yeah, I love they just beat the shit out of my shovel. Like they definitely did not see that coming.
Yeah.
No way.
He then starts to fill what is the shallowest grave ever. Like, because the holy dug wasn't even that big. It doesn't even really cover the Skin. However, along comes Colin and Martha demanding their skins. As we see, they look sick and are complaining about being cold. And I was like, genius. It's like an addiction. They need it. It's an addiction. It's the fucking One Ring. That for their benefit, they should get rid of them, but they can't do it. It needs someone else to do it for them.
Yeah, like they might want to, but they can't kick the addiction. They need it. It's like sapping their like life force.
Yeah.
They need it. Yeah.
Loved it. Thought all my complaints went out the window when I realized what they did. Alex tries to hold them at bay until the moon is fully risen, but the Skin is now breaking out the grave he dug. The Skin then breaks the shovel, but Alex pushes himself in the way of his aunt and uncle as the moon fully rises. And this then causes the Skins to howl in pain. And because we haven't gone mental enough, they blow up. And boom, blow up as well. And I was just like, what the fuck was that? I don't know if I love it or I hate it.
I literally noted on this, I wrote, God damn, those werewolf skins just exploded. An explosion on Goosebumps. LOL.
We don't get a lot of this, but hilariously, it was Welcome to Camp Nightmare that had an explosion that stopped us in our tracks as well. And it's these, oh, okay, you blew something up. Fun.
Unexpected, yeah. Because again, I'd love to know the story behind doing an explosion on this kid's like TV show, basically. Yeah.
I really, really want to know what the script of this was beforehand. I really want to know the full details because this is what we got. I want to know what madness was in there elsewhere that network went, nah, mate, not happening.
Maybe that was there before they went. They were like, well, only the thing that has to stay in is the explosion. Like, they made sure that was staying in.
So the curse is now broken and Colin and Martha are back to normal and they embrace happily. So it seems like we got a happy ending, but this is Goosebumps. Of course, there is a little bit extra. Yeah, we'll do it first. Sometime later, Alex and Colin are checking out his pictures, and it turns out he didn't actually get any good shots for the competition. Which makes no sense because we saw him take pictures of Colin and Martha turning into a werewolf. Now, fair enough. I understand he wouldn't want to submit those to the National Enquirer, whatever it was, Observer magazine. But like, we saw him get good. We saw him get good pictures. Don't lie to us now.
Yeah, they're doing that whole like, someone got a recording or a videotape and then they watch it and it's all like blurry, other things not there. They're trying to go for that angle.
Yeah, it's exactly that. However, on close inspection, though, he does notice a werewolf in the background of one of his sort of not important shots. And on closer inspection, he sees that it is Hannah. And right in cue, she comes into the room and Alex turns around to face her shocked. And she says the extremely cheesy line, "What's the matter? Don't bite." I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. We kind of needed something because otherwise we were going to do a rare Goosebumps thing and just end on a happy ending. But I don't know if we really got the meat here. I don't get the Hannah side of things. Like, what? She was a werewolf too? And how would his aunt and uncle not know that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like you said they almost had to tack it on at the end because they need that little twist ending of Goosebumps where it doesn't end happily, but it does feel a bit like unearned, you know, like there wasn't enough there to really make it have the impact I think they probably wanted it to have.
But overall, this is a mixed one for me. It's got that thing that, you know, I guess we praise a lot, which is it's weird. It can be extremely weird, and you won't be able to follow it. You won't be able to guess where it's going because it consistently either tries on purpose to throw you off or just throws something in so random out of the blue that you're like, huh? And that's at least interesting, I'd say. I was kept guessing up to the last minute.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was because I went in with low expectations just based on the title alone. It was another werewolf episode that didn't interest me, but I thought it delivered an all-round solid double episode, which usually the Goosebumps episodes, when they're double episodes, do kind of struggle with. And I thought it was some nice tension, had intrigue, the effects were good, the acting was good, the setting was nice, and I thought all around it felt like a genuine horror short, you know. Yeah. But one thing that I have to quickly tack on there, and it's just simply this: why in the blue hell did they have him come stay with them when they are werewolves?
My God, that is the ultimate
that?
plot hole, isn't it?
Yeah. Why the fuck would you do that? You're werewolves. Why have your photographer nephew come stay with you? Nonsensical.
You know how you fix that? You say when they're back to normal, and you have them at the dinner table or whatever the night after, and say, or whatever it is, and say to them, you know, say to them, we brought you here because we hoped you'd be able to do this. We couldn't ask you, we couldn't tell you because it wouldn't let us or something like that. But we hope that you would be the one to break the curse because you were, you know, imaginative or whatever, or adventurous or something like that. It would clear that plot hole up completely. But you're right, what a fucking plot hole. Why the hell would you ask? Why would you bring him?
Yeah. Like that would have cleared up, like you said, but yeah, it's a big question.
Yeah, I agree with you saying. One of the things I was most surprised by is two-part Werewolf. I didn't think it would actually be okay being a two-part, but I look back in this and I think, yeah, there's not a lot I'd cut out. There's not a lot I could see being removed to kind of, you know, like make it shorter.
Didn't bore me a little bit like the previous episode we did, the Perfect School, like that did bore in places, but I thought this one, the pacing wasn't too bad throughout.
It's just at times, like I said, I feel like there's things that they left in maybe that were part of an original script. Because one thing I want to go back to as well that makes no sense as to why it was there. Well, we obviously have the teacher with a bandage on his face, but what the fuck was the crash car about?
Yeah, the crash car, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That is Werewolf Skin. It is another two-parter of the Goosebumps TV series. You got any thoughts on it? You know what to do. Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?